So, USB hubs, there's more than one kind, or docking stations. Have you ever wondered what the heck these things are? Are there any differences between them? Does it matter? Tonight we're going to talk about all of that, what they are, what the differences are, and we're going to help you figure out what's the right solution for you and your business or your home computer or wherever it is that you're looking to use this. So get ready, get your questions ready, and let's get the party started. Hello, thanks for coming by tonight. So this is a very popular topic on pretty much any given time, but specifically for the past 2 weeks, people been coming to me a lot about this. So I don't know what it is out in the universe that's making everybody curious about this, but hey, show topic, so that works out good for me. Hey Rob, how you doing? So we're going to talk about what these things are, what the pros and cons are, and help you make the right decision for what it is that you're going to need, because there's no perfect answer. Like so many things when we start to talk about technology or even just general business solutions, right? The answer is always it depends. Because everybody's situation is a little bit different. Your goals are going to be a little bit different. Your existing technology is going to be different. So what may work best for me may not be the right answer for you. So we're going to talk through all of that good stuff. And if you have any questions, please don't be shy. That's what we're here for. All right, so let me get some basics out of the way, right? So most people talk about hubs, that really means USB hubs, or they talk docks or docking stations. And a lot of people use these interchangeably, and they are not the same thing. So we're going to get that cleared up because that's a good starting point. So the USB hubs are just that, right? That's something you're going to plug various USB devices into. Now, most of them can use different USB connections, right? So it could be A, could be B, could be USB-C, Thunderbolt, whatever. And for a lot of people, like if you're working off of a smaller computer, if you're working on a mobile device, something like that, that tends to be the catalyst for needing that, because while the small devices are great and, portable and all of that, there is a trade-off, like anything else, right? If you're not going to get a desktop, then there's a trade-off of it's going to be very limited how many ports you're going to have. And at first everybody's like, oh, it's not going to be a problem. But if you're using a USB mouse and a USB keyboard, and maybe you need an external drive, or maybe you need a USB microphone, right? Or you're going to hook up a webcam. Well, if you've got one USB port, we've already talked about, 4 or 5 different things. I guess it'd be a bit of a problem. It's not something you can swap out live while you're doing things, right? So that is one of the big reasons why people are going to use them. The point of confusion most of the time around USB hubs is the fact that there's really 2 basic kinds, right? There is powered and not powered. So let me just show you what those would look like. Oh, that magic button. There we go. So a just standard hub, right? Something that is not powered is something that's just going to plug into your computer. For the most part, I tell people to stay away from these, because what that means is if any of your USB devices need power, and a lot of them do, that means that they're going to be sucking power from your computer if the hub even handles that. So there's a good chance that it may not, right? If you get a really inexpensive USB hub, it may not even be compatible enough for some of the devices to pull through power. So it just gets to be too much of a hassle. So for the price difference, it's not really worth it, because you're just going to cause yourself trouble. If it does pull power through, that means it's pulling resources off of your computer. And again, your computer may not have them to spare, right? So I'll hear from a lot of people, oh, my computer's not working good, everything is stuttering, and I don't understand, and my apps are slow, and it keeps crashing. And when I say, what's the most recent thing that you've added or changed? 80 to 90% of the time, they've added a USB hub. It's a non-powered hub, and they've got power devices trying to suck. So you have to think about your mobile, like your laptop, your tablet, whatever it is that you're using. It's designed to power itself, right? And maybe the attached keyboard. That's about it. right? It's already doing a lot. And so for everything that you plug into it that's sucking off more power, especially if you're not hooked up, if you're not plugged into the wall and it's just working off the battery, well, that's just more draw, right? That's all the stuff is going to make it your battery go faster. It's also going to make it harder on your machine to work. And these are not generally good things. Okay. This is generally not your goal when you're doing this. You've generally got a goal of getting something done. So you do want to consider that. And that's why, for the most part, I tell people to stay away from these. Again, your mileage may vary. There are certainly use cases where this is the right answer, but you do want to make sure that it is the right choice for you. The other thing to look for is it going to have the right ports for you? So like if you look at this one here, here, we'll just go into this one. And I'm not picking on this brand. They're just the top of the page. So that's why I'm going here. So if you look here, this doesn't have USB-C on it, right? It's just your basic USB ports. So that may be fine for you, but you need to do an inventory to see what connectors you're going to need. Otherwise, then you're having to add dongles and converters into the equation. And that's just another level of complexity. It's another thing you're going to lose. It's another thing you may not have handy at the moment. So make your life easier. Yes, okay, what is this? $10, okay? It may be $10, but it's not going to help you. So it's not a good use of your $10, right? So you want to identify which ports you're going to need, how many you're going to need. Like, so this one's got 3, this one's got 4. They've got, various ones. This is kind of nice if you can get it. This is one where you can turn each individual device off. That's kind of a nice feature, especially if, again, you are worried about resources and that type of things. Hey, Lyle. Lyle got a USB hub. Yeah. Well, like I said, the hubs are not bad. Okay, I'm not saying hubs are bad. I'm saying, in general, you don't want a hub that isn't powered unless you're very sure that that's going to be okay for you and your devices. So that's a big thing. And these are the most basic ones, right? So these are just going to do USB. Now there's a next level up, and we're going to get to that in a second. But these are just strictly USB devices, right? Like Lyle's talking about. Well, here, I can bring this up. Let's bring this up. So Lyle's talking about, being able to use an SD card and USB and all that kind of stuff. And some of the hubs have that built in. Some of them don't. So again, you need to do that inventory before you go shopping to figure out what it is that you're actually going to need so that the money you spend is actually helping you. So thank you. That's a perfect example. Okay, so let's just go back here. Oh, shoot. I went back too far. Okay. So I just wanted to cover that. So then there's the powered ones. So right away you're going to see the difference is the powered ones have a power adapter, right? So these did not, right? It's just the one cord, which looks nice and simple, but this is actually a better choice for most people, right? Because it's not drawing power from your computer, it's actually drawing power from the wall outlet. So you plug it in, and then any of your devices that you are plugging into the USB hub that need to be powered, hard drives, stuff like that, mics, they're not going to be a draw. They're not going to be a resource hog on your computer because they're getting their juice from the hub itself. So that right away is one of the big things to look for, is to make sure that it is that. And you see the prices are not that different, right? The other ones were like, 10 to 15, these are around $20, which is okay. But again, now these ones here are just USB, right? There's no other fancy bells and whistles here. It's just your basic USB. And again, the number of ports will change. Like this one's got those little, on-off toggle buttons, so you can turn each device on and off. You can get, more that go out. But again, you need to make sure, do you just need the one type of USB, or do you need the multiple? Like, do you need the USB-C and the A and maybe some B and who knows? Not that you can't get the converters, you can, but it's just one more thing for you to have to keep track of, which in general we're not a big fan of. So, okay. So that's the nut of the USB hub world, right? That basically that's what it breaks into. You're going to look at how many ports can it handle, do you need power or not, and what devices are you going to be connecting, what types of connections do you need. The next question is what Lyle brought up. So some of them will come, and I don't know if any of these on this page up, but some of them have extra little bells and whistles. With things like being able to put in an SD card or that type of thing. I'm just wondering if on this one, I don't think any of these that came up have that. Hey, there's a nice big one, huh? Look at this. This has got 11 ports on it. That's pretty impressive. Oh, and we've got, so the red would probably be the ones that char, or these are the ones that have the on-off switches. But yeah, so I'm looking to see some of them do have the other slots, but not all the time. So again, you need to figure that out. Well, I'll show you what those look like in a second, because then we're going to switch over to the next thing, which is the dock or the docking station. Most people, when they hear that, they're thinking corporate America, right? Because that used to be how you did it, right? You had a laptop that you carried with you when you were doing work outside, of the office, and then you would come into your office, you'd go to your cubicle, your office, and you'd have this little thing sitting on your desk that you would click your laptop into, and then magically you would have, extra monitors, and, your mouse would be wired and plugged in and all that kind of stuff, and it was just, an on-off kind of a thing. Great convenience, right? It's the best of both worlds. You've got all of the extra peripherals that you're used to from your desktop, but you can take your laptop and go. So that's a handy thing. But they are different. So it's sort of like, not all pants are khakis, but khakis are pants. That's what this scenario is. Because a docking station will also have USB ports, but it will have other things like monitor connections, maybe the SD card kind of things, all that. So let me just show you what that looks like. And you can get what they call universal ones, which are just generic ones that are sold by third parties, or you can get one from your manufacturer, right? So Dell's got them, HP's got them, so on and so forth. So you can make the choice. You can do some comparison shopping. There are people who swear up and down that you should only get the one from the manufacturer. Me, not so much. I've had lots of good luck with the universals, and it's good for me because I'm always swapping out gear. So I don't want to have like 6 different docking stations. I have 2. I have one here in the office and one out in the living room for when I work out there, and that's all good. So John's saying some web cameras don't work off hubs. In particular, that problem usually happens if it's not a powered hub. But that's another good example. If you're going to be plugging like a webcam in or something like that, or a capture card like the Camlink 4K or the Elgato 60 HDS. It's so much easier for me to type that one. HD 60S Plus. Those are USB capture devices. They will not work well with just a standard USB hub, but if you have a powered one, then the odds are much better. So yeah, it's another thing that's part of that inventory you have to take of what are you going to be plugging into this puppy. Okay, let me go back to that. Thank you for that, John. Appreciate that. So they come in different, the docking stations come in different form factors, right? I tend to go with these because they take up less real estate than the flat ones do. But let me just show you what I mean by extra ports and why these are different from just USB. Yet, because while they have it, let me move this up a little bit so you can see it. So you've got USB at the top. It's got Ethernet, right? So you can plug it into the network, which is another huge win. It's got different, so that's a DVI monitor adapter or a monitor plug. You've got HDMI, and then this is where you connect to the computer. And then this one, I don't know if it's got a picture of it, but this one also has, oh yeah, it does. It's got ports on the front too. So you've got, I think it was 4 USB ports on the back, and then you've got another 2 in the front. Plus, you can plug in headphones and a like a regular, old school mic. So this is more of a fully featured kind of thing. This is more about getting your computer to have all the things that you would expect to have off of a desktop. Now, this is the thing, and this is a conversation I just had, which is why I'm bringing it up now. Because I've been talking about, and because these tend to be marketed in a way that says, these are for your mobile devices. And that's true. But not just your mobile devices. Case in point, I have a docking station here. Now, I have a desktop, but I also have a docking station because it wasn't so much about USB ports, although let's face it, can we ever have enough? But it's also because I wanted to be able to get things farther away from, I was getting some static because of wires overlapping, so it kind of gave me another option. And it's more convenient because I can reach over and I can plug in things when I need to. I can plug in other devices to it. So it's a nice convenience for me. My point being, you can use these with any computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop. It does not matter, a tablet, whatever it is that you're using. If it has any need of any of this kind of input or connections, then you're good to go. So that was funny, yeah, because I was prepping for this show last week, and I hadn't really thought about that. And then just the other day, I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, well, that won't solve the problem for me." And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, because it's desktop." I'm like, "No, it'll still work because." So let's get into this. So let's talk about what you're using these for, right? So the USB hubs, their whole purpose in life is just to expand the ports that you have available for USB. Super simple. I mean, it's even with the powered one, like it's really a plug and play kind of thing. So for example, like, if you bought some, fancy new super thin laptop, like I just did, one port, one USB port. That's not going to cut it for me because I use the tablet and sometimes I need to hook the mic up to it, and I'm not using the onboard camera. I'm going to use a webcam at least if I'm going to be doing Zoom calls. So right away, that's where you start to go, okay, well, maybe I need, the hub. But then I'm like, well, but then it would be nice to have these other things. So of course I went and I just hook it up to my docking station now. The docking station, as I said, is something that connects, a laptop or desktop computer to multiple peripherals, right? So maybe you don't have, another port for, a lot of laptops now don't even have Ethernet jacks. Actually, I don't think this one does it? No, it does not. And I just knocked everything over. That's what I get for being nosy in the middle of the show. So that for me is like the big thing, is because I try to be wired as much as I can. Yes, I use Wi-Fi, but the wired connection is always going to be more stable. It's always going to be faster. And hey, why not? So that's a big reason to do those. But it also makes it easier to connect to your printer, your keyboard, your mouse, multiple monitors, which is a lovely thing. I get so frustrated when I'm only working with one monitor because I'm spoiled. I admit it. So the docking station is going to kind of bridge the gap between having that portability while still being able to connect to all the things that you need to when you need to. Docking stations are always powered, so that takes one element out of that conversation, which is a big win for sure. All right, let me go through my notes here. I write all these notes and I get it all scheduled out, and then I jump around because why not? We're having a conversation here. Okay, so you're like, okay, great, yeah, I bought one of those hubs like 5-10 years ago. I should dig that out and put it to work, and it will probably work for you. Mostly. Okay? You have to keep in mind, while everybody talks about USB like it's a single thing, it's not. Okay? USB evolves just like Wi-Fi and all other technology. Over time, it has... Oh, okay. I thought I just killed my... Nope, okay. I thought I just killed my Surface Pro. I was going to be crying on air. What was I... That just really fried my brain. Oh, okay, right, the USBs. So you need to make sure that the one that you're buying or the one that you're dusting off from the back of the shelf or the closet is going to support the speeds that your newer devices need. So for example, the original USB, kind of slow. USB 3 or 4, also known as USB-C or Thunderbolt, much, much faster. So, yes, in theory, you can go back, you can't go up, but the odds are you're not going up if you've got anything fairly new. But if you have like an original, so if you have like an original USB mouse, okay, that would probably be okay because that technology hasn't changed too much. It doesn't need supersonic speeds. But if you're doing like a hard drive or something like that, you're going to want to make sure that it is the most current. And you need to be careful on the hubs because very often on the hubs, they have a mix of different ports on them. So you need to read the instructions. I know. I can't believe I'm going to say this to you folks. I know nobody likes to hear this, but RTFM, you have to read the manual. At least read the box. The box usually has it on there too. Find out what ports are on there and what speed they are, and make sure that you've got the right ones that you need. Like if you buy a bargain, right, and it's only got one current one and all the other ones are old, like I said, these newer devices are backwards compatible, but they will run slower. They may run a little wonky. So you need to factor that into your decision-making process as you're looking at these different things. Okay, so so you're going to see that this is always the hard part of the conversation with people. You're going to see a wide variety of prices. Okay, you're going to see powered USB hubs. You're going to see docking stations for $50, $20, whatever. And then you're going to see ones for $500, right? And everybody's going to be like, hey, $30, that's mine. Hold on. Don't quite go there just yet. Just hang on a sec. You do want to think about it because, again, yes, you may be saving money, but how much is that going to cost you going forward? So you're going to want to make sure that you're making the best choice for you. And the big thing with the more expensive ones is they're faster. They're faster. They also tend to be a little bit more sturdy. They tend to be built out of not so thin plastics. They might even have metal in them, so they tend to be able to take a little bit more of a beating, which if you're going to throw it in your bag and take it with you is a factor to think about. But, like if you are all Thunderbolt 3, right, then you definitely want to face the fact that, hey, you've got good stuff, right? You've paid a lot for your computer and your accessories. You're going to pay a little bit more for your hub. That's just the way it goes, but you will benefit from it. So, yes, there's a little sticker shock sometimes, especially, I'm sorry for you Mac people, like the ones that we recommend for the Mac people, $350 and up, for a good, reliable one. But if you are somebody who really relies on your equipment and you need something that you absolutely can rely on, then yeah, save the pennies. Okay, don't throw the money away on that $30 one. Save it, put it towards the one you're going to need, and then watch for sales, because sales happen. All right, let me take that down. I'm talking really fast. I apologize. It's been that kind of day. I had a lot of meetings, and it tends to get me revved up. Hey, Laura, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for cruising by. Okay, so are we clear about the money thing? It is a situation where paying more will benefit you. And like anything else, you're going to want to keep an eye on the reviews, right? So when especially you're spending that kind of money, but even if you're buying a cheap one, you're going to want to take a good look at the reviews, look for the verified reviews, and kind of factor in the overall. Of course, somebody's always going to be unhappy with something. Okay, there's no such thing as a 100%, perfect rating for anything. Humans just don't do that. But you can get a good feel for, is this really good, or is this something that's going to cause me grief? Oh, I lost my captions. Is this going to cause me more grief? So my savings is not really a saving because I'm going to throw it out or I'm going to punch a wall. We don't want these things to happen. So be willing to spend a little bit more and look at the reviews, because again, just because you spend more doesn't make the guarantee. But if you spend more on something that has good reviews, then you're going to be happy. And make sure it's powered. Okay, so like for this one, what is this? Yeah, so actually, wow. So this one actually, let me bring this back up. I think I'm going to cry. Okay, that's... So when I bought this last time, this must be an older version. They must have updated, because this is one of the ones that I use. This is a docking station because I want the Ethernet plug. I want the monitor connections, all that kind of stuff. I paid a lot more than $89. So I'm guessing they must have a new version out. Usually they say that. Or maybe there's one coming. Because when you see a price drop like this, that usually means that there's something new coming down the road. I paid a lot more than that. So if you're looking at it, this is very good. I've gotten a lot of good use out of this. It doesn't have all of the monitor ports, but it had enough that I was able to make it work. But wow, I paid a lot more than that. So see, I'm telling you, sales happen. You just got to keep an eye out for them. Yes, John, exactly. You always want to do your research, right? Because things change. Today I was doing one of my many side gigs for a customer. I was modding for them on their show. And they have a particular set of headsets that they recommend. So, people start asking about it right away. I just throw the link out there for everybody. And we've been doing this for well over a year. No problem. Today I put it in, and all of a sudden everybody's like, it's out of stock. I'm like, wasn't out of stock last week. I went and I checked, and sure enough, the one because, you're just going to give one link. You're not going to give for all the colors. So the one link actually for the clear version is out of stock, but the other colors were available. But, things change. That's just the way it goes. That's life. So always do your research. Always double check. Because every time you don't, that's when it gets you. Okay. So it kind of sounds, I'm sure, to a lot of people at this point, like I'm saying, don't buy a hub, get a docking station, because you get both. Like you get the best of both worlds. Many times that is what I'm saying. But there is an advantage to USB hubs that does not apply to the docking stations, and that is you can daisy chain them. So, maybe not everybody knows this phrase, but what that means is, so you can have your first USB hub, and then you can leave one connected, one port, just to connect to another one, which gives you more ports, and you can connect that one to another one, and you can go through. You can have, from a technical standpoint, I'm not recommending you try this or that you do this, okay? This should not be a life goal, but if for some reason you needed to, you can go up to 127 devices by daisy chaining USB hubs together. Another way to look at that is, if you do need a docking station, you can get a docking station and then daisy chain USB hubs off of that. Now, you will see a little bit of a reduction sometimes if you haven't bought one of the stronger docking stations, but in general, you can absolutely do that. So you can actually marry the two worlds together. You can get a docking station so you can plug in your Ethernet connection, your monitors, your mouse, all that kind of stuff, and then you can start to add USB hubs almost to your heart's content, and it should work out fine. Definitely consider powered in that scenario, because there is still traveling that has to be done in that type of thing. Is anybody not clear about the daisy chaining thing? Because I understand that may not be a common phrase. I mean, I think it's fairly common, but I can't assume that anymore, because every so often I do that in a meeting and I get all these stares back. So if you're not sure what I mean, let me know and I'll try to explain it a different way. But that is one of the things that you're going to be able to do with your USB hubs that you're not going to really be able to pull off with a docking station. So 127, if you need it, is your option. Another question that I just recently had is, can you have too many USB devices? Well, yeah, I've gone above 127 probably. I mean, yes and no. What I recommend is, if you're going to have a lot of USB devices, and you have some that are more sensitive to latency than others, make sure that when you're putting them on, let me bring this back up again. When you're putting them on the strip, whichever type of strip you're getting, let me get this out of the way. Nope, that was the point, was to get that out of the way. You want to make sure that you're putting, let's find a big one. That's pretty big. Putting the ones that are more sensitive, or that you're using more, or that are that you need the little extra speed from, closer to your connection to the computer, and the ones that aren't quite as important farther away, because distance, it has an impact. It should be so small that you don't notice it, but it's a good safety thing. The ones that you're going to use a lot or need the extra power, put them close. The rest can go farther away. It's just a little handy thing to do. Okay, so we've talked about that. We talked about the powered. Okay, so can you overload a USB port or a hub? Again, yes, it's not all that common. But as long as you've got a clean power supply, as long as your cables are in good condition, but you're trying to avoid any kind of short circuiting. You don't want to be running the cables over anything that might cause interference. Also, of course, I probably don't have what I can handle, but power bricks, notorious for causing interference. So it's not so much about overloading it as it is that. You also need to be careful, though, about some of the third-party, chargers. Those can overload. Now, there's arguments in the industry about whether it's overloading the hub or it's overloading the cable. But long story short, I'm sure you've heard stories about people who have plugged in their phone or other device to charge it and ended up with a fried device or a small fire. So, you do want to be careful about the cables. You want to make sure you're connecting it to clean power, all that kind of stuff. And that should more or less keep you safe. Like anything else in life, there are no guarantees. We do the best we can. Okay, so that's it. So there are differences, right? So we talked about you can have just your basic, let me bring these up again. You can have just your basic hub, right? That is not powered, which is fine as long as none of your USB devices need to be powered. And you'll be able to tell because there won't be a power brick involved, right? So in this scenario, you're just plugging it to the computer so that the computer and the devices can talk through this. Great solution if you have, things like, a mouse or a tablet or something pretty straightforward that isn't drawing the power from whatever it's being plugged into. And it will then get you that extra. And these you can daisy chain just like you can the powered ones. Sounds like John might be talking from experience here. If you aren't sure, don't plug it in and find an outlet. Yeah, there are some things that you just don't want to gamble with if you don't have to, for sure. So that's the one type. It's just your basic, they're going to be the cheaper route for most people. USB, not powered, which is fine as long as none of your devices need to be powered. If your devices need to be powered, then you're going to need a powered hub because otherwise you're just it's not going to get enough power. Your computer's not going to be happy. We want to keep our computers happy. It's important. So that's the next option. For all of these, you want to make sure that you're getting the right connections and the right speeds, right? So if you need Thunderbolt, if you need USB-C, if you need the USB 3 or 4, make sure that you've got enough of those on whichever one you're buying. Kind of bites to buy it and then find out, nope, it's not going to work. Also, just as an aside, talking about the camera thing, sometimes going from one of the plugs to another on one of these strips makes a difference. I'd like to be able to explain to you why. It's just a manufacturing thing sometimes. But you want to you want to double check and see that all the ports are working before your return period ends. So those are hubs. Hubs are great for just attaching your devices and going ahead and doing whatever you need to do. If you need a little more, okay, if you need USB and you need Ethernet or you need a SD card slots, all those kinds of things. If you want, ports, like if you need more ports for your monitor, you're going to want to consider a docking station. And as I just mentioned, if you really need to, it's totally fine to use a docking station and a USB hub together. Okay? That's what I got for you. Yeah, well, that too, John. Yes, John's being funny. You just don't want someone to come back and say, your tech coach said. This is true. But I care about you guys. I do this because I want you to get the value from your technology and make it work. So, but yeah, there's that too. Okay, so I think we're good. We covered the SD cards and all that. So, hey, that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, comments, if you have something that you want me to cover on a show, go ahead. Go to, I'm going to get it right. Yes, I got it right. Go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. You can ask me your question. Tell me what topic you want me to cover. All I ask is if you need a fast answer, let me know that and let me know how to get back in touch with you. Otherwise, I'll assume it's for a future show. All right? And of course, always this, right? Because it does make a difference. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a good winter, at least here. We just got more snow, so super psyched about that. The dog is excited, so I'm not. But the dog, I like one snow. It looks pretty, and then I like to move on. But we're not getting that. We're getting snow every couple of days. So hopefully you're getting the kind of weather you like. Maybe you're an outdoor person and you like, snowshoeing and skiing and all that kind of stuff, in which case, hey, you're all set. All right. Thank you, Lyle. Yes, thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate the visit. And I hope to see you next time. I hope everybody is doing well. And as always, do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. It's not a problem. And if you want to know what's coming down the pike, I do have a mailing list, so feel free. Otherwise, I will see you next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Same bat channel. Bye. What am I doing? I'm doing this. Yeah, there's the button.